Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In the run-up to prelims, especially in the last couple of weeks, it would be a good idea to revise and focus on those areas that provide high return on investment. Okay, high returns for the least amount of time invested in preparation. Polity is one of those low-hanging fruits, right? We can expect 15 to 20 questions, 15 to around 22 questions if you look at the last few years pattern. Yet each and every one of those questions can be cracked given adequate preparation. So really prioritize polity for prelims, especially in the last couple of weeks. Hence, in this regard, we've come out with this quick crash course that you see on the screen, right? Which will help you leverage the subject polity to maximize your overall prelims marks. And in this video, we will talk about the revision strategy that can help you get that 100% in your polity questions. How do you ace that? But before that, a small piece of information before we get started. We have very little time before prelims, so we are uploading our class videos. This was part of our crash course, online course that we had, right? So we are uploading this video with minimal editing, so please bear with us on that front because we want to get this video out to you as soon as possible. That's our goal. Having said that, let's begin today's video on how to revise polity, right? In the best possible manner, in the quickest manner, so that you can really ace each and every one of those polity questions. Let's begin. See, there are a few things that I will let you know, right? Prelims is the easiest phase of your UPSC journey, right? Would you agree with this? You would agree or you would disagree based on what you have heard or what is your experience, right? Prelims is easy because a total of 8,000 people or something will get selected for the round 2. Prelims is difficult because a whole chunk of people will get eliminated. So, it is always a glass half full versus glass, half empty, right? My opinion is that prelims is the easiest round, okay? Because being, let's say you're general category, right? In general category, you want to keep in mind that, okay, I have to be in the top 4,000. I want to be in the top 3,000. You can do that, right? However, when it comes to prelims and then interview, right, the kind of competition that is already there, all 8,000 of those people are going to be like heavy duty lifters, right? They are like, big fighters. So it becomes a little harder, right? There are many reasons why prelims is slightly easier in my opinion, because it means they only give you, let us say, in every question, what, like 20 words they'll give you, 20 into 20, 400 words they give you, but they're expecting you to produce 5,000 extra words. However, in your prelims, what is there? The answers are always in front of you. All you've got to do is sort of identify the answer, right? Is this the answer? Is this the answer? Is C the answer? Is D the answer? The answer is in front of you. You just have to sort of be able to pick it, right? So in that way, it's actually good. There are a few pointers I'll give you, and in fact, because I now know you guys, I will ask you how you want it. Okay, how do you want your crash course to be designed? It really depends on batch to batch, right? So where exactly do you stand? But just be honest with me in your assessment as of today, right? So that the next couple of weeks can be planned accordingly. And I'll tell you exactly what I have as a target. The target here is in a couple of weeks we want your polity to be done, right? And it's got to be a little uncomfortable. Right, it's got to be a little uncomfortable because you will not feel you're ready. Okay, but we'll try to solve a question, we'll try to take tests, we'll try to see where we stand, and then we'll try to discuss ways to get another 10 marks, another 15 marks, another 20 marks. Okay, and through that, in these couple of weeks, if you feel at least I'm feeling moderately confident, right, moderately confident about my polity, then we can call that a win. Okay, is that clear? Okay, see, Indian polity ke liye, I'll give you a few tips. See, the Constitution of India is the primary thing that we want to focus on, right? Constitution of India. Now, Constitution of India, you guys know this. You may have done it through one or a couple of books, right? I'll tell you which are the generally go-to books. The book that you have to stick with is the one that was covered for you or the one that you've actually started. Okay, it does not necessarily matter which book it is. I started with something called D.D. Basu and then later shifted to Laxmikanth because D.D. Basu was more mains oriented, excellent book, even better than Laxmikanth. But however, in prelims, there are many questions that you may not be able to solve. So Laxmikanth, again, depends on whether that is the book that you've started with, right? So starting from your chapter number 1, which talks about, how exactly did we come about creating that constitution, right? To the development of the constitution, to, the legislature, right? To even how it is functioning. What do I mean by this? So for instance, let us say that there is national emergency. Okay, and how are these emergencies, right? We know that during emergency, we can suspend some fundamental rights. Is it abused? Is it used, or is it abused? Okay, things like that. So for instance, if some of these things have been abused, then maybe there are some Supreme Court cases or something like that. We can take a look. Similarly, your anti-defection laws, are they working well? Are they not working well? Okay, so there'll be two aspects here. One is what is given in the book, and the other one is a little bit of a logic based on what is happening around us, right? Current issues. Okay, so and recently we are seeing a little more of analytical questions, and which is good, right? Which is good because if you can apply logic in these questions, you will get it right. Whereas in the other one, it has to be your memory. You have either studied it or you've not studied it. Okay, you remember it or you don't remember it. But in analytical questions, even if you've not seen it before, if you apply your logic, there are chances that you could get them right. So I had started with this particular book, okay, but then I later shifted to Lakshmikanth because this is, you can use this for both your prelims and your mains. D.D. Basu, it's slightly older book, but it gave me a better sort of a view about constitution, right? Now the book that you have to stick with is only the book that you have started, right? Which book did you guys do? Is it Lakshmikanth or is it your D.D. Basu?
Lakshmikanth, sir.
Lakshmikanth, okay. So I'm guessing it is this. Is this the edition that is in the market now?
No, sir. That's different one.
Okay, is it a green book or a black book?
Green
Yeah,
book.
6th edition, sir.
Okay, all right. Because what I've noticed is that your spectrum for your history, it used to be like tiny. Okay, it used to be doable, but however, like I think every new edition that comes out has like 100 extra pages. I'm exaggerating, of course, but I hope that Lakshmikanth has not done that, right? And it is actually doable, and it's actually something that we will be able to finish in 14 days and take some confidence from these 14 days. Okay, so we are going to stick with this, right? And having done this, right, this is the base reading. What we can do further in order to reinforce those top concepts in you is that we'll solve more multiple choice questions and previous year questions, right? Previous year questions are good. Okay, you can do it from 2013 onwards. 2013 onwards was a different pattern. So 2020, right? Something like this, but you can even go previous. Okay, if time permits, but priority, you can stick with this. Okay, but there is also another very, very good source. Okay, a very, very good source. Okay, and that is this particular source. And I'm not sure if you guys have seen this or have, do you have an access to this? I'm not sure if there's an online book or online sort of a book for this. So this is your Lakshmikanth MCQ. So for instance, whatever you have, right? Lakshmikanth has like some chapter 1 to 60 or something like that, right? For each of these things, there will be an MCQ chapter. Okay, MCQ chapter. Exact same one. So for instance, if you finish your chapter 1 in your Lakshmikanth, you can actually go and solve the MCQs at the end, in this particular book. Okay, and I'll tell you why it is sort of useful. This book does not ask you like not UPSC type questions. Okay, so this is the sort of disclaimer. But however, what it does is that it has questions from almost every single paragraph in your Lakshmikanth. So with that, what happens is you can actually find out by getting 3 consecutive questions wrong. You know that in the last couple of these 2 pages, I have not had sufficient sort of hold on this particular topic. 2 pages, I'm not very clear. I need to go back and read that, right? So this gives you you can actually gauge your preparatory levels well. Okay, it really helps you. Okay, really helps you. In fact, I used to solve this once during my preparation before I take the mock questions and all of that. But I had this almost like it's a ritual. Last week, I have to solve this. Okay, last week I have to solve this, and whatever questions I'm getting wrong, I go back to Lakshmikanth and go through those topics specifically. Okay, and it has worked well for me because in polity, and I'll tell you why polity may a different sort of approach is useful. Okay, a different sort of an approach is useful for certain reasons, and I will come into that. And apart from this, because the target that has been set for you yourselves, okay, and me, right, is that we want to ensure that in the next 14 days or 14 days or 12 days, how many ever days we have, right, 10 days of classes, basically 10 days of classes. Okay, we want to ensure that polity is done and dusted. Oh, and by the way, my handwriting is awful, guys. So sincere apologies in advance. Okay, but I hope it is moderately legible at least. You can understand what I'm writing. Okay, and my manual dexterity is not that great that I can write well with this pen either. But however, okay, having said that and having apologized for it, so this is the whole target, right? Polity, you want to be done. So what I was thinking, and generally this is the way I go. Okay, now you guys can let me know. What I was thinking is that um, this week we'll take two tests. Okay, we'll do reading this week and ensure that we take a test. We try to see, okay, you've scored 65. Okay, on Friday or Saturday, little bit more reading, and then we'll take another test. Okay, let us say from 65 you've gotten to, let us say, 80, and then the next week again we'll do reading, and then we'll try to get it to 1995, and then possibly 110 or 220. If you can get this in the next couple of weeks, you can be very confident about what you have done for your polity. So this is what I have in mind. Okay, this will give you a lot of confidence. This will tell you the chapters that you thought are your strengths may not be your strengths yet. Okay, it requires one more reading. There are chapters which you felt you don't have very good hold, but however, based on the kind of your the way in which you're solving your questions, it is actually good, right? You're actually doing well in those chapters. You feel confident about those chapters. Okay, so this is my suggestion, and again, I will ask you. Once we go a little further, you can give me your own take on this. I'm not sure how exactly you've done the other crash courses for other topics. Polity is slightly different. So if you want my own wise judgment, then we can stick with that. If you have another suggestion, then we can factor those things in as well. Okay, fine, fine. I'll give you a few questions in class today. If you feel confident about attempting those sort of questions, then by tomorrow we'll make a plan. Okay, I'll make a plan for you so that 2 weeks will be well spent. Okay, 2 weeks will be well spent. If you want more content to be covered in class, great, we'll do that. If you want more MCQs to be covered in class, we can do that. Or if you want me to touch up on the important chapters, we can do that as well. Okay, so see, apart from your polity textbook and your MCQ book of Lakshmikant itself, another great resource is your polity current affairs. And for polity current affairs, generally you would want to be reading Hindu newspaper regularly. But in the last 80 days, I'm not sure how much of a time you will have to be able to go and cover the previous current affairs. So at least you can take some sort of magazines. Are there any particular magazines that you already follow? Or, monthly current affair booklets? Generally in the market, you will see Vision Current Affairs, PT 365, Insights will have its own. I think Rouse will come out with one. So one of these magazines you can actually read. Okay, so ISME, Polity, and even IR. Okay, that will also give you a little bit of confidence about what is happening, right? So that is that. Okay, so you've shared something about yourself. Some of you are at 5%. Some of you have done 3 to 4%, 3 to 4 readings. Okay, and I think thank you for sharing about your introduction. See, in terms of prelims journey, right? The very first time I cleared, so I cleared in my first attempt. Okay, I cleared my first attempt, and I think that matters. Okay, it matters, and that too when I was working full time. Right, I was working in a corporate job. I was in Hyderabad at that point. I'd recently finished my masters. I had come. I was actually enjoying my job quite a bit, but I had this sort of I wanted to be a diplomat, right, since my school days. So I thought, okay, I think this will be the right time to go about and try this. But why this actually mattered is that in subsequent attempts, I don't think I put in as much effort. Okay, but however, I had that confidence. Okay, the confidence that I did not have in my first attempt, even without confidence, I sort of cleared it. But in subsequent attempts, because ek baar ho gaya hai, just because in my first attempt I cleared it, so possibly even in my second, okay, or third, whatever it is, right? So in these attempts, I can do it. So my prep levels were relatively less, right? In fact, one of these attempts, I had, I was working in Dubai at that point, and just I think like around 8 days before the before prelims, I'd quit my job and then I'd come here. 7 days I stayed, in a guest hotel, and then sort of studied. I cleared it. So it is about confidence. So what did I do right? And what did I possibly, what is something that I would tell you that you could do better? Okay, we'll take a look at those as well. Okay, so I'll give you a little more detail. See, In one, my highest score was around 146 or something like 145, 146, something along these lines, right? And that attempt, I think the cutoff was, this is like plus 30 in terms of cutoff. Okay, there was another attempt in which my score was maybe like around 119, 120. I think that was plus 15, 16. Okay, more than the cutoff, right? There was another. So these are the kind of ones. Generally, what used to work for me is that I had less attempts. Okay, and higher strike rate. Okay, there are others. Another way to go about this thing is that attempt more. Okay, even with lowest, without high strike rate. Strike rate basically means how many I get right. So for instance, in this particular attempt in which I got, 146, something like that, right? I had attempted close to 78, 79 or something like that. And I had like 2 to 3 wrong. That's it. Okay, 2 to 3 wrong. Okay, and I had it 78, 79, something along these lines. Okay, I don't remember the exact numbers. Another attempt, but generally my attempts will be somewhere in 70s and single digit wrongs. Now, why do I do this? I do this because I know what works for me. Okay, I have solved a lot of these questions. I've solved a lot of these MCQs that I know what is my strength and how do I score. Let us say if I want to attempt something else, let us say that, let's say Praveen Kumar or Basavaraj or Sangeeta, you guys don't have the same strike rate as me. Okay, but you have studied quite a bit and you're confident. So let us say that out of 100, if you get 70 questions right and 30 questions wrong, what happens here? I think the score will be around still 120. Okay, that means you're still way beyond the cutoff. Okay, now how do you know which is the strategy that you're going to go for? The strategy that you're going to go for is something that has to be tried and tested before the real test. Okay, 83 days is a lot of days. 83 days is a lot of tests. Every third day, if you can actually take a test, you will probably know what is the method that works well for you. Do you guys have an idea which one works for you already? Any of you? By attempting and trying out in your prelims mock test, you will be able to realize what is the thing that is working for you, what is the right number of attempts. Again, it has to be a range. You cannot go like, completely wired that I'm going to go all 100, I'm going to go only 70, right? You will have an idea. This kind of a paper, this is the right number of attempts for me. All comes from, the effort that you've actually put in before the test. Now see, does clearing prelims depend on luck? See, the answer to this thing is yes and no. Okay, and this is important, especially from the perspective of polity. Okay, and I'll tell you why. See, there have been students who come to me and they ask me, sir, I just missed. Okay, and you must have just missed. Okay, and you must have seen this as well, right? There must have been friends and cousins and neighbors and whoever it is, your seniors. Basically, they just miss it. Okay, it must be because of 2 marks or 2 questions, right? If this is the case, yes, definitely bad luck. Definitely bad luck, right? Because 2 questions here or 2 questions there, 2 guesses here, 2 guesses there, it actually has put you in, good or bad luck, right? Of, your UPSC journey. And this has resulted in, 1 full year sort of getting wasted. Now, the point is, this is a strategy that you would want to change. The thing is, always be at least around 15 marks above. Target that. Do not think that 90 is good enough, 100 is good enough. Try to go a little more. Do something that others are not doing. Okay, if others are revising twice, you revise it 3 times. If others have not if you've just finish everything, ancient co, medieval co, environment, all of these things, if you do, you will be fine. Okay, if you think you're in the border region, just have to maybe solve a few more questions. Okay, revise the books a few more times so that you are nowhere going to be close to the border. If you're going to be close to the border, then you're leaving it all to luck, and that is something that we want to avoid, and polity will help you in avoiding that. Okay, and that is and I'll tell you the reason for it now. And let me again try to recall the name that he Rahul. Yeah, Rahul Katarki, right? Did I say your name right?
It's Qatar Tisu, but it's okay.
Katarki. Okay, Katarki. Okay, I'll just go with Rahul. Okay, so Rahul just mentioned that he has done many of the important chapters. See, the important chapters, do you see the ones that I've highlighted here? Preamble, fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, amendment of the constitution, basic structure. These are all very, 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 very important, right? In fact, these are chapters from where you can get multiple questions. In the others, you will get one question. Okay, you could possibly get a question, possibly you may not get a question, but you will see questions on your fundamental rights for sure, right? These are questions, these are topics in which, in fact, if you want, you can just make a note of these, right? You can make a note of these. So for instance, if there are some chapters which you're going to revise, like, extra 2 times, then these will be the kind of chapters that you're going to revise extra 2 to 3 times. Okay, the preamble, the fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, amendment of the constitution, and the basic structure of the constitution. How did the basic structure come about? Right? So again, it is all given in the book. It is all there in the book. But obviously, you're not going to be able to read every one of these chapters by allotting equal time. Right? So I'm just trying to tell you, these are the chapters which you probably have to read a little more. And these are the chapters that I think, in the next, 10. So today I will talk about your fundamental rights, preamble, DPSP, fundamental duties. I'll give you a heads up. Okay, what are they? What are the things that you want to look at? Okay, but whatever we cover in class, I would expect you to go back and read those chapters again, right? Try to implement some of the things that we talk about. Try to see if you can actually master it, right? So I'll give you an introduction in class. You can go back and then sort of become better at it. And then we'll solve, by solving a few more MCQs, I think you will be feeling a lot more confident. So these are the important topics from this. Similarly, okay, there is an entire chapter called emergency provisions. And emergency provisions, how many different types of emergencies are there? Okay, state emergency or president's rule. See, you might have heard of these things. So 3 different provisions are there, and what happens in each of these things. For instance, if it's a national sort of emergency, what are the fundamental rights implications? Is there fundamental rights implication if it is a state emergency? Are there any sort of such implications when it is a financial emergency? How do you sort of apply emergency in a particular state or in the nation as a whole of a financial emergency? What do you have to do to sort of revoke it? So these are sort of important elements here. Okay, so this entire chapter I feel slightly on the trickier side. Okay, so apply some logic and you'll be able to solve this. This is another very, very, very important. In fact, if possible, the day before your exam, if you want to revise something in your polity, you can come back to this as well. Your president, your prime minister, the central council of ministers, and the parliament. Parliament is actually a big, big chapter. Okay, big, big chapter. Okay, and a very, very important chapter at that. In fact, whatever happens in your, in order for you to follow what is happening in your, in your Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, the parliament chapter is going to play a very big role. In fact, if I ask you, what are the kind of motions that can be passed only in Lok Sabha and not Rajya Sabha? I'll give you guys 10 seconds to answer, if anybody remembers. Or it's even an open book answer, okay? In case you know it, or if you want to look it up in your book, you can go ahead and do that as well. Even finding the right answer is going to take you a little more than 10 seconds. But if you can, then that will be great. Okay, no worries. So let us say the answer here, just because I've asked this. Okay, let's take a look at this. So what are the kind of motions that can be passed only in Lok Sabha? Think about this. Adjournment motion. Okay, your censure motion. Okay, and your no confidence motion. Okay, and in fact, in your Lok Sabha, your parliament chapter, there'll be a table that actually sort of delineates the difference between your censure and no confidence as well, right? Why is the no confidence only supposed to be Lok Sabha and not for your Rajya Sabha? Because you're trying to dismiss the ministers, the Council of Ministers. Council of Ministers, they are responsible to the Lok Sabha. So there are some logic here. Okay, similarly, censure. What about censure? Can censure be passed, against a council of ministers, or can it be an individual minister? How does it work, right? So, things like that. Okay, so Parliament is a big chapter. We'll go through that. The Supreme Court is, we'll go through President, Prime Minister, and Central Council of Ministers. In fact, if you do these, okay, with along with the state. So in state also the same thing. For President, you have a governor. For a president, you have a governor. Okay, for prime minister, you have your chief minister. For council of ministers, you'll have your state council of ministers. Instead of parliament, you'll have your state legislature. Instead of Supreme Court, you'll have your high court. Okay, so the better way to read this thing is read your president and then read your governor, read your prime minister, read your chief minister, read your central council of ministers. Then you come here. Okay, parliament chapter ke baad you come here to state legislature, and then you can come back to Supreme Court and then high courts. Okay, because there'll be very few differences. In governor and president, you can just find out, okay, these are the differences. Okay, the chapters will move along much faster. Similarly, in union territories, local government, there's another section. Generally, your scheduled areas, your tribal areas, basically, this is going to be your. I hope you guys can just note this down, the important chapters. So Schedule 5 May, you have scheduled areas, and Schedule 6 May, you have your tribal areas. Can anybody tell me what are the states in which you have Schedule 6, sixth schedule?
In Assam, Arunachal Pradesh,
Manipur, Meghalaya, Tripura,
Nagaland,
Okay, and
is there Odisha as well?
Tripura, one second, Odisha, okay. Okay, who was it? I think it is Rohit. I'm trying to understand whose voice is who.
Rahul sir.
Sorry, Rahul, and then it was, who was the girl?
Priya, sir.
Priya, okay, that's Priya's voice, got it. Okay, so remember this thing as it is, or AMTM. It's ATM without money, basically, Assam, Tripura, okay, and Mizoram, and then you have your Meghalaya. ATM without money. Money means Manipur. So what all? So this is not right. Manipur is not right. Meghalaya is correct. So basically along these lines. So this is your sixth schedule. Okay. And then your fifth schedule is there in 10 states. Okay. 10 states or 11 states. Okay. I'm not sure if in that 10 Telangana state after the bifurcation from Andhra Pradesh, is it included in that? I think it is included. So I think it is now 10 states. It was 9 and then now I think it is 10. Right. But that is that. In fact, if you take a look at the map here, I don't have the map here. Can you just Google and try to see the map? Northeast map. Just Google Northeast map. Okay. So in that, do you see your Assam, Tripura, Mizo, and Meghalaya? All of them, have a border with Bangladesh. Okay. Another way to sort of, if you are more visual oriented, then you can probably think of this. Right, because there are questions regarding those as well, right? There was a question, I think, in 2017, which basically said if you traverse or if you're like riding from Kohima to Kottayam, how many states will you have to cross through? What are the least number of states that you have to cross through? Okay, so obviously you want to know your Northeast quite well. Okay, but I'm glad that you remember, basically, most of you remember that it is Northeast. Okay, so great job, Rahul and Priya. Okay, great. So these are important chapters in Panchayati Raj. Okay, you'll never ever be completely done with Panchayati Raj. Okay, Panchayati Raj is one of the most important things, right? Gandhi himself wanted Panchayati Raj. And then finally, you have constitutional bodies and non-constitutional bodies. You can make a table out of it, or if you want a table, I will probably share something with you. The ones that I think are most important are your election commission, right? Your finance commission. Finance commission, what does the finance commission do? Sharing of the, net proceeds of taxes, okay, between center and states. Okay, they come out with a particular formula, and that formula is something that comes from your finance commission. Similarly, there are bodies that are for NCSC, NCST, okay, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. Can you tell me what is the difference between a scheduled caste and a scheduled tribe? Anybody?
A scheduled tribe is a reservation for the tribes that are in the remote areas.
Okay. Go on, go on. And
The
scheduled
scheduled caste,
caste? Mm-hmm.
yeah, the scheduled caste is the so-called backward classes. That's what.
Okay, okay. So you're on the right track, right? So ST. Okay, so for instance, tribe is something and scheduled tribe is something else, right? Scheduled tribes are those tribes that have been given, constitutional recognition, right? Now, scheduled tribe, there is no one very clear sort of a definition, right? There is no one clear definition, but there have been committees that have been placed, okay, in order to sort of find out what should be the features for delineating who is the tribe. Okay, and there was something called a Lokur committee. So remember, Lokur committee. Okay, not so important. And that was again, you basically said that they are basically from, so the features are geographical isolation, and that is what you had mentioned. Okay, they have a distinctive culture. They have shyness of contact, meaning they have not been in contact with most of civilization, most of the mainstream sort of population. Okay, not civilization, but mainstream population. Okay, and they have, and again, I'm only using their term because I'm not calling them primitive. Okay, this is a term that was, in the 50s and 60s. Primitive, okay, traits or backward sort of traits. So meaning these are the people who live in the remote areas like the forests, up in the hills, right? In your Andaman and Nicobar, certain islands will be there. This is your ST. Okay, so they are isolated people. But what about your SC? SCs are the people who are in your old, if you take a village social structure, you will notice on top you'll have Brahmins. Okay, the Varna system. Uske niche you'll have Brahmins, Kshatriya, and then you have the Vaishyas. Okay, and then you have the Shudras. Shudras are not your Dalits. These are the four Varnas. And outside of this thing, you have your SCs. Okay, so in the village, you will see these people staying. And right outside of this, you had the SCs. And SCs had a lot of social disabilities that they had to face. And what are social disabilities? You cannot enter temple. You are inauspicious, even to view you. So a lot of sort of social disabilities, economic disabilities, political disabilities. You're not an equal. This was placed on them. So the kind of reservation and sort of protection that has been given to the SCs is slightly different from the ones that are given to the STs, and that is primarily because SCs are very, very different from ST. So when people say SC, ST, SC, ST, SCs and STs are extremely different from each other. Okay, but you have to understand that because you are not a lay person, you are a student of polity. Is that clear? Is that so? Does that make a little more sense now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you, thank you. So then another one is Election Commission, Finance Commission, and your CAG. These are very important, guys. Okay, these are very important, right? Some of these organizations have been called as, like they're basically like the guardians of the constitution, the guardians of not the constitution, they're the guardians of the way India works. Okay, they have very, very. What happens if we don't have an independent election commission? Right, then we don't have, the people will not have faith in the elections that are taking place. What about the CAG? Is the executive, right, using the money properly? Okay, because the money is your money, my money, or at least it is 4 to 6% of the income taxpayers. Okay, it is the GST paid by every single citizen. So we are all sort of haqdar, right? We have the rights to sort of find out whether the money is being utilized properly, or is there like a lot of corruption or a lot of leakages. CAG does an extremely excellent sort of a job in that regard. Okay, if you guys remember, many sort of scams have been unearthed because of the auditing job of your CAG. Then again, Attorney General, Advocate General, I think that's one chapter. I'm not sure in your book how exactly it is. Similarly, non-constitutional bodies, NHRC, and your Central Information Commission. Okay, not that the other chapters are not so important, but these chapters are a little more on the important side. Okay, so far all of you guys are good. You've been able to follow what is important. And depending upon which edition you have, there will be some chapters, extra chapters, right? So cooperative societies, tribunals, official language, and most of these chapters are like 1 page long or like a page and a half, right? Just one, 2 sides max. Okay, they're easy. And current affairs. And current affairs, maybe we talked about this, right? What do you guys follow for current affairs? Is it Vision? Is it Insights? Is it Rao? What do you guys follow? Your own notes that you've made from newspaper?
Newspaper and Vision, so.
Okay, so do you do the monthly or do you do the PT 365?
Monthly, sir.
Monthly, okay. Monthly is good. In fact, monthly is good. I've also done monthly because PT 365 was not too big. I think now everybody goes to PT 365. The problem is in PT 365 you have to do, and it takes you like 2 to 3 months now to become good at it. Okay, depending upon what is your ability, right? I'm generally, it takes me a good amount of time for me to really have confidence with the material, right? So some people can do it in the first reading. I may have to do 3-4 readings, okay, and then I can say that I'm very confident. Right now, it may take you 2 to 3 months. Now we cannot invest another 2 to 3 months. So this is okay. So then you have your P, and then you have your mains. Again, it'll be difficult, right? 2 to 3 months to do main 365. So it's better to do monthly in my opinion. But in case you have started your PT 365, it is fine. Let's get through with your prelims. Let's clear prelims in the very first attempt, and then we'll move on to main scale, some new current affairs. Okay, so no worries about this at all. But one material should be done. Now, why is polity so important? Why is polity so important? Polity is different. Okay, polity is different for a reason. In most of the topics that you have, it is different from economy. It is different from your environment. Okay, for a reason, and that reason is that polity questions are mostly from Lakshmikanth. Can we say that about environment? Some of you may be following, there is some, I forget what is the material, PFM or something. There is Shankar IAS for environment. In economy, there is Ramesh Singh, there is Shankar Ganesh. So if there is one book that you do, it does not mean your economy is done, right? It is not only from one source. Environment also, there can be questions that is outside of this. However, if it is polity, let's say there is 15 to 20 questions. Okay, if I say just there are 15 questions, 15 question is 30 marks. 15 questions is 30 marks. Now let us say you are well prepared, I am well prepared. Okay, or let's just take an example of, let's say Rahul and Priya. Okay, so let's say Rahul and Priya. So out of 15, Rahul is extremely well prepared and done quite well. Okay, but so has Priya. But Rahul has revised it, let's say 2 times more. So what happens is Rahul could be, somewhere he's getting around 14 questions right, and Priya is getting 11 questions right. Can you tell me the score difference between these two guys? Or let us say, he's getting 13 right and she is getting 10 right. Basically 3 question difference. What is the score difference? You will notice that the score difference between these two is not 6 marks. 3 questions supposed to be 6, but because if you include your negative marks as well, it is 3 into 2.66, and that is equal to 8 marks. Just because you've revised your polity well, just because you have a complete, a very, very good hold on your Lakshmikanth. Okay, and especially in the last few weeks, you want to sort of revise the chapters that I've just mentioned. Okay, or any other chapters that you feel like it might be it's not your strong suit, then again you can add this. 8 marks is a difference between, let us say, near the cutoff and outside the cutoff. Okay, border or no border. Okay, well, so let's say this is the border, this is the cutoff. Okay, 8 marks could put you below here, or it could keep you way beyond cutoff. Right, and I think Praveen, Vijay basically said that he was Vijay, what is it like? I think what was last year's cutoff? 96 or something, right? So you were what, like some 10 marks short, 10, 12 marks short? So if that is the case, then 8 marks, okay, 10 to 12 out of 10 to 12, 8 marks can come from directly your polity. And politically, you don't have to look anywhere else except for this particular book, right? You don't have to look at anything but this particular book. So the more time you take just to read this, even if it is, let us say 25 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. Okay, 30 minutes a day for the next 80 days. I guarantee you that you will also be here in this range. Okay, and it is possible. Okay, it may not be possible in many other subjects because, you know, the questions might be, you know, sort of convoluted. It could be like, you know, sort of like out of syllabus. Generally, Lakshmikant say out of syllabus will be like one question. Okay, 14 out of 15 could be solved. 28 out of 30 marks you could solve. Or if it's like around 20 questions, then you could possibly score close to 40 marks. It's a huge, huge chunk. Okay, it is a huge, huge chunk. So that is why your polity is very, very important. We hope that you found this video to be useful. For any further guidance, please feel free to reach out to us. You'll find the details given below in the description. And finally, don't forget to subscribe. Also click on the bell icon for further notifications as well. If you found this video to be useful towards your preparation, if it added value to your preparation, please give it a like and also share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.